Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Greg Furman, market analyst here at TraderPlanet.com, and these are the market positions for June the 3rd, 2015. Now, our first trade for tonight is going to be in the stock market, specifically the U.S. energy stocks. Now, this is consistent with my Forex weekly outlook where I looked at those early warning signs of a U.S. dollar sell-off and commodities starting to rise. So we're going to stay with that primary theme and look towards the U.S. energy stocks. Now, what I've done here, I always like to combine the triple EMA cross with short and medium term indicators. So in this particular case, I've got the short-term crossover and the triple EMA cross. The short-term crossover 2 days ago to the upside. The triple EMA 1 day to the 1 day is basically 1 day old. Now, when we look at this, once the IntelliScan points me to a trade, I am then going to look much closer at that particular trade. So the Headwaters HW stock is the one we're going to be looking at. I've drawn in my supply and demand areas. Demand is coming in about 1875. Supply is currently being filled at about the 2050 level. So we've closed out at the 1965. Now the key vantage point levels 1935, 1940, and 1943. So a very bullish close. And again, that short-term strength and the long-term strength is converging, telling me that we are probably at the very least going back towards this $21 per share mark. Now, if I look at this stock over the last year, you can see that it's had a very high climb to where it currently is right now. And at each one of these areas, we can see that the sellers have tried to take this stock lower, and every single time they have failed. Does that mean that this stock is going to automatically move higher? Well, of course not, guys. It doesn't work that way. But the probability is that this particular stock is getting ready to continue its advance back to at least what would be, in my respectful opinion, it's going to set a new high before it does that pullback. Our neural index is confirming that. Our strength indicator, our predicted short-term difference, all pointing higher. Our predicted medium and long-term differences coming out of heavily oversold territory, as is our predicted RSI. The predicted MACD firmly above the zero line. So we have a key pivot area here that we're now fully aware of, 1935. That is, there's a lot of activity around that particular area. Now, if I look at the short-term crossover, I can see that the short-term crossover, there's a considerable amount of activity at 1950 also. So there's a lot of things going on here, but the main thing is, from a directional standpoint, we've had a corrective move lower, and we can see the patterns in this particular stock that it continues to set new highs over the course of the last year. There's very little reason for me to think it won't. So in most particular cases, your average traders are just simply looking to counter trend it and short it, when in actual fact the buyers are firmly in control. So for tomorrow, it certainly does not surprise me one bit that the VantagePoint key level and the predicted daily low are converging at 1934. That is our buy area. We are then going to target the 1984 area. Now, again, if we're picking up 50, 60, 70 stock and 50, 60, 70 cents, on a $19 stock, that's a fantastic return here, guys. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking for 2050, 2075. So my intent when buying this at 1934, I'm looking for a break of that very important supply area currently coming in about at or about the 2050 level. So if we're going to set a new high, each time we've set a new high, we then retrace, we come back up and do it again. So I think we can get to $21 per share on this particular stock, respecting the dollar weakness. Now, that's our first trade for tonight. Now, our second trade for tonight is specifically going to be in the Forex market. You can see that I've taken all 30 Forex pairs, both majors and cross pairs, and I've scanned through looking for something consistent with what I've talked about in this week's Forex Weekly Outlook. I'm using the short-term crossover, the neural index, and the predicted RSI. I will then be visually looking to see if the market is closed above the key VantagePoint 18-day predicted EMA. So we can see we have a number of different pairs to choose from: the Aussie Japan, the Aussie dollar, the British pound, the Aussie dollar, and the British pound US dollar. Now we can assess here that the market on a number of the pairs that I just looked at, the market is moving in the right direction consistent with this week's Forex Weekly Outlook, but it's not clearing that key VantagePoint 18-day predicted EMA. Now, as I look further down the list, we can see we have a number of other pairs here that we can choose from. The US Canadian dollar, but again, we're still not in those key areas. Now, when I looked at this first pair, Aussie CAD, we can see that we have our short-term crossover up. A 1.2% gain on the day for a currency is a pretty decent gain, but we'll notice you can see that the bar is closed above the key VantagePoint level. Now, this one is of interest to me because of all these pairs. This one probably has the best chance of a triple EMA cross. So from there, using the VantagePoint short-term indicators, I can then look closer at this pair. Now, I can clearly identify that I'm going to just switch that up here so we can make sure we're drawing our proper demand area. Now, our demand area is coming in at or about the 95 level. Our supply area is at about the 97 level. We've closed at 96.36. The key VantagePoint level is 95.93. So we're very, very close to that particular area. Now, when I look at the short-term crossover, we can see there is that crossover coming off a new demand level, a trend line forming off of this particular level. Our medium-term crossover is turning up, but it is not crossed over, nor has our long-term crossover. They are going to be probably a few days yet, but I think we can get in on this trade early based around the neural index, the predicted strength indicator from VantagePoint, the short-term predicted difference, the position of the predicted RSI. And again, I've repeatedly talked about this, guys. An RSI is a leading indicator. It's a momentum-based indicator. We're using the 50 level, the 40, the 60, and the 50. The 50 is in between, obviously, in between the 60 and the 40 level. We're looking for a break of 50 to signal that something is bullish. We're looking for a break of the 60. We're looking for a momentum-based trade. Now, this one definitely has a shot at that. So from here, looking at all these indicators, now the zero line on the predicted MACD, again, a very, very important level here. We're forming support. We're getting a higher low. We're not getting any new fresh lows on this particular pair. Aussie US is doing very well, as I said it would in this week's Forex Weekly Outlook, that it is likely to see buyers coming in the bottom part of that range around that 76, 75, 70 level. That's coming to fruition. So all of these tell me I'm okay with buying Aussie dollars right now because of the area in which it's in, and clearly it's retracing in its broader downtrend. So for the last step we want to do here, using the VantagePoint daily report, very critical part of our trading to get our numbers, we're simply looking for a pullback area to get long. That's all we're doing here, guys. So we're going to look for it to pull back towards the 95.76 level. Now, 95.76 is absolutely a possibility, but we have to look at another level here, the level that I talked about right there, which is the VantagePoint key 18-day predicted moving average. That's coming in at 95.93. So I'm going to put our long entry point between 95.93 and 95.75, the VantagePoint predicted low. That is our hot zone, our buy zone. Okay, if we're looking for the exact number on a trade to get into a trade, then we're probably going to miss it. So the best thing to do is identify some critical levels and let the market come to us, and then, and only then, will we enter our trades. So with that said, these are the market positions for June the 3rd, 2015. And again, my name is Greg Furman, market analyst here at TraderPlanet.com.